I have a very good relationship with President Xi of China. We're having disputes on things. They're paying us a lot of money, tremendous amount of money in tariffs, and they'd probably like to have it be less, and we'll work on that, but they have to give us some things too. I want them to buy soybeans. One of the things I want is China's going to buy soybeans. I want China to stop with the fentanyl. Very, normal things. I don't want them to play the rare earth game with us.
President Trump on Air Force One last night on his goals for the China-U.S. trade relations. The president will meet with Xi Jinping in South Korea on October 31st, coming up, end of this month. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, meanwhile, will hold talks with his Chinese counterparts in Malaysia later this week after speaking with Beijing's vice premier on Friday. China's economy reportedly growing 4.8% in the third quarter. That would be the weakest GDP growth in a year. A lot slower than many people expect. The president also told me that a 157% tariff on China is unsustainable. He discussed with me his plans for this upcoming meeting. Watch. On China, you've got a lot of economic levers to pull. You've got all those Chinese companies trading on our exchanges.
I have a lot to pull. I'm not looking to destroy China. I'm not looking to destroy China. But China's taken out trillions of dollars, not hundreds, over the years, trillions of dollars. China has built their military because of us. China has taken out trillions and trillions of dollars. And then I came along my first term, as you know, I took out hundreds of billions of dollars from China. I tariffed China. And Biden left them, except he made so many exceptions, it didn't matter. But I tariffed China. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. And now they forced me to charge them what is the equivalent of 155 to 157%.
But they need our capital markets. I mean, we're funding the expansion of these companies tied to the military.
I think they do. But look, they have a very smart leader. And I think we have a leader that wants to make a deal because I think that's smart. And he's smart. So we'll see what happens. I'm meeting with him in 2 weeks. We're going to see what happens.
Joining me now is the Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow, Gordon Chang. Gordon, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. What do you want to see at this meeting? And then when I spoke with you last week, you mentioned the plenum, which is happening this week in China. Explain that and give us your expectations.
Yeah, just a few hours ago, the Communist Party Central Committee started its fourth plenum, which is scheduled to run for 4 days. In other words, ending on Thursday. They're going to look at measures to stimulate the economy. That print of GDP for Q3 was not good, but really what was terrible was fixed asset investment falling 0.5%. They'll also, I think, outline some of the 15th five-year plan, which covers the half-decade starting next year. And everybody is looking at the issue of leadership changes. On Friday, there was the extraordinary announcement from China's defense ministry that 9 senior military officers had been investigated and had been removed, including Xi Jinping's #1 loyalist in the military, General He Weidong, who was going to be expelled from the party. This is just unprecedented. We don't know where this is going. Xi Jinping could be removed or he could emerge stronger. But in any case, there's going to be a lot of turmoil in the party because people are going to be purged after Thursday, however this goes.
That's amazing. So this could be this week and the quote-unquote plenum underway in China. This could be something of a referendum on Xi Jinping's power.
Yes, and that's a really good way to put it, Maria, because really what we have is Xi Jinping, especially over the last 3 or 4 years after COVID, is being blamed for accelerating a lot of China's ills. And there's unhappiness throughout society, throughout the Communist Party, and evidently throughout the Chinese military. Now, what would be more extraordinary than Xi Jinping being deposed? That would be Xi Jinping remaining after this record of failure. So this is going to be fascinating, however it comes out. And really right now, I think that Xi Jinping is going to be weakened in some way. Maybe not deposed, but certainly weakened because his record has not been good for China and people can see it.
Yeah, and of course, he's already been weakened since we started talking about this a couple of years ago. Look, he hasn't done a very good job with President Trump because he forced the president to put on this additional 100% tariff stacking on top of the others. But markets reversed course entirely on Friday after we released the soundbite of President Trump telling me that the 157% tariff, the total tariff on China, is not sustainable. Watch this.
I raised our tariffs to 100% on top of what they're already paying, which is far worse, far worse. We'll see what happens with China. I've always had a great relationship with them, as you know, but they're always looking for an edge.
If you put that 100% tariff on top of what's in place already, you're talking about 157% tariff on China. Can that stand?
No.
I mean, what is that going to do to the economy?
It's not sustainable, but that's what the number is. It's probably not, it could stand, but they forced me to do that. I think we're going to do fine with China. I get along great with him. He's a very strong leader, a very, amazing man. I think we're going to be fine with China, but we have to have a fair deal. It's got to be fair. And you cover it as well as anybody that's ever covered this subject.
Gordon, what's your reaction to the president saying 157% tariff is not sustainable, but he's expecting things to go okay?
Well, it's certainly not sustainable for China because China has never been more trade dependent in its history. Last year, it ran a $992.2 billion trade surplus.
Yeah.
That surplus could be larger this year, but that's really just the extent of it. We're seeing that because Chinese goods are being shut out of the U.S. market. Yes, China can export to the global south, but the margins on what it's exporting to the rest of the world are vastly diminished, which means that Chinese exporters are having a hard time, especially the smaller ones.
Yeah.
So, for China, they've got a lot at stake at this.
Well, how significant is the Ministry of Commerce announcement out of China that they are implementing these export controls on rare earth minerals and the refining of those minerals, Gordon?
Well, they're certainly hurting our economy, and they are shaking the world because they're not directed just against the U.S. They're directed against everybody.
That's
right. And so this really creates common cause for countries against China.
All right, Gordon, we'll be watching this plenum sessions in China and, of course, trying to get more information ahead of these trips. Bessent going to Malaysia, President Trump going to South Korea. Gordon, thank you. We'll see you soon. Gordon Chang, stay with us. We'll be right back.